Hi, I'm Luna, and seriously speaking, there is actually a secret that's been hidden from us this whole time that's exposed by the volcanic ash in Hoenn. Specifically, where it lands, the direction it goes through, as well as generally wind patterns that you need to consider when looking at not just Hoenn itself, but the inspiration being Kyushu. Now, before we get into this, I know this sounds a little weird, and of course this is like 4 within the last 5 theory videos that have focused on volcanoes. Yeah, that surprised me too. I realized that just before filming this. But if you want more like it, more theories, you can let me know. Anyway, getting into it. Now, everyone who has gone through the Hoenn region before, we know the route right about here, where volcanic ash constantly lands. You probably picked up a bunch of it, gotten the little glass trinkets that can be made out of it. They're nothing too crazy, but the fact that that exists at all, and no other areas with the volcano have it, tells me that there's an important factor here that needs to be looked at. This here is a graph of the subtropical jet stream. Essentially, the pressure and the direction the air moves up above normal level where we see. We usually think of those when we think of flying. Especially in the US, it's easier to go from west to east instead of east to west, and that can be shown within the flight times. That specifically in the US is the polar jet stream we're talking about there, but here we're looking at the subtropical jet stream. Of course, specifically looking at the northern hemisphere because there are similar ones within the southern hemisphere. Now, I grabbed this image because it's probably the best to show off the extent of the jet stream. I mean, it originally looks at Pakistan and India as shown by the other parts, but if you look at the graphs of the jet streams, you can see looking at Japan, it's very strong, especially blocking out where you would see Kyushu, or the islands that Hoenn is based off of. I wanted to show you this graph first because it shows that no matter what, because of the strength of these winds, all these graphs are going to block out Kyushu. It's really actually hard to find ones that have a good look at Japan, because usually the more sphere-like ones, or ones focusing on the Atlantic side, tend to have Japan blocked out or at least cut off a little. So this shows the general subtropical jet stream, just so that you can get an idea. Alright, now here is the NOAA version. You can see it's very well blocked out in both images. The Japanese angle here. That's why I had the other one shown first. Just so you have an idea that it's just because of where the winds are, it's going to strongly block out the area of Japan on the map. Of course, this one's supposed to be a comparison between 2021 and 1981 to 2010. However, what this shows, looking specifically at 1981 to 2010, because that's about when the Hoenn games were created, the direction of the jet stream. It's going from approximately from west to east, left to right on this map. There's actually even a little bit of a curve going on in these earlier ones. It's relatively minor, but at the same time, I should take that into account when looking at Kyushu itself and putting these ideas on top of the map. Speaking of, here is the map of Kyushu. I'm just going to lay, not red since that's already orange. Maybe a black. Let's put the approximate direction of Kyushu onto here. It's going west to east, or maybe at times more of this way. As shown by the earlier map, does have a little bit of a curve northward. But if we take this and put it on top of the Hoenn map, wait a second, the directions aren't quite right. You see, the length of the Hoenn area, helps if I put it into a brush, the length of the Hoenn area fits more with the height of Kyushu. As such, what I should really do to make this comparison wrong direction. Oh yeah, that was the right direction. It's rotate it. As you can see, now they look the same, approximately, but if we apply those wind arrows we saw from the jet streams onto this, it goes the same direction that the volcanic ash is within Hoenn. Now, what does that tell us? Most likely explanation is we're viewing the Hoenn region where north is not up. Or it could mean that the winds go from south to north in the Pokemon world. Oh, but I don't think that's quite the case, because every other region, except for maybe Galar, does have an appropriate north being up angle to it. In fact, if you look at the snow within the route south of North Snow Point City in Sinnoh, the snow is blowing west to east, that way. So that would mean either it's all south to north and everything else is being rotated, or the most likely explanation, we're not seeing Hoenn from the correct north being up point of view. You see, that's what's interesting here. That's why the route north of the volcano, well, up of the volcano in this case, being covered in ash, makes any sense in the first place. Because if we were to apply a west to east wind pattern onto Hoenn with north being up, the wind would be taking ash more this way. More towards the desert, more towards Fortree. And that would have changed, honestly, the whole geography of those areas, the plant life, everything like that. And while honestly, I like that the ash is only in this one game because, well, having kids pick up all the ash and use it to make stuff is incredibly dangerous. Like, Mount Spur is supposed to be going off soon, here near Anchorage, with the same west-east pattern, thus making that ash go towards Anchorage. And that has actually been a big warning recently because those things are sharp. We've had lots of notices being put out, being like, be sure to cover this and that, make sure everything's tightly locked up. If you're going to go outside, use eye protection, mouth protection. It hasn't happened yet, but there have been so many warnings of it so far. Honestly, it's not worth going around getting your lungs and your eyes all cut out, like would be happening here in the Hoenn games. So that much, I agree with their choice of only having it in this one game. However, with the fact that it is there, and is telling us that the volcanic ash is going up in terms of this map, most likely means that we are dealing with a region where up is not north. And up is not north. It is not fair to be using the Hoenn region map as it is, with up being north, as shown by various other portions. Sounds like my dog is barking. Let me know what you think. Hit the button down below if you want to subscribe, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.